Hello and welcome to this week's lecture. In this lecture, we're going to provide a number of case studies of exemplars of community enterprises from across Europe. In the first case study, I'm going to look at the Cottage in Loughmore, County Tipperary in Ireland. The Cottage is situated in a very small village of Loughmore, which is between the towns of Templemore and Thurles in County Tipperary. Coincidentally enough, one of TUS's campuses is based in Thurles, which is quite close to the Cottage in Loughmore. It was established in 2012 by two local ladies, Maeve O'Hare and Mary Fogarty. And it is important to note that Mary Fogarty is still managing and working in the Cottage to this day. It currently employs 8 people and has about 20 volunteers. Its legal structure is quite different to other community-owned enterprises, which we're going to look at in today's lecture, insofar as it is a cooperative. And by being a cooperative, it has shareholders, and all of the shareholders come from the vicinity of Loughmore. When it was established, all local residents were asked to provide some money to buy a share in the entity. And its key target group is the local community, insofar as it's there to serve the local community and very much to combat rural isolation. And furthermore, the key service which this organisation provides is a local shop which provides key commodities such as bread, milk, papers, and so forth. And it also runs a tea room / restaurant, and this is by far its most principal activity. And we're going to go through today's this presentation. You will notice that it has expanded in recent years because it became a very popular destination to go to. And it has a very good reputation for the quality of food and the hospitality which it provides. So just to put it into context, Loughmore is a very small village and is also very historical. There's an old ruins of a castle just situated outside the village, and it was a thriving village in the past because there is evidence of an 18th or 19th century mill situated next to the river. And in addition to that, you can see here in a small little replica of a thatched cottage. This is actually a little home for ducks, and so that they ducks, and this initiative here was partially funded through donations from the Cottage. So this community-owned enterprise provides some resources to local activities. And we have to remember as well, this village is very small and situated in a peripheral location, and therefore, in order to combat maybe a loss of services in the local area, the Cottage came into being. Here's a picture of the first location where this community shop and tea rooms were located. It was in one of the oldest buildings in the village, and it's very reminiscent of what an Irish cottage would look like. And this is the new premises which they have moved to in the past few years. It is much larger in size and therefore able to accommodate more people who are coming to visit it. So the reason, firstly, why the cottage came into being as a social enterprise was that there was a very significant reduction in services in the locality. Over the past 30-40 years, the shops have closed, the post office closed, and some of the public houses, pubs, also closed, with only one remaining in situ. And therefore, with the loss of all of these key services, the village was witnessing a very significant decline. And therefore, the locals had no, maybe, the local community did not have any good social venue in which they could attend. And therefore, Maeve O'Hare and Mary Fogarty, the two founders, decided that they would take an old building in the village, refurbish it, and open it as a community-owned tea rooms and shop. Therefore, it would act as a magnet to attract people into the area and also to provide vital services for those resident in the village. And from speaking to some of the locals, rural isolation was an acute issue. According to one individual who I spoke to, this person stated, "For rural isolation, it has really become the hub for everybody to come to, and people who haven't been down to the village for years are coming down. People who are lonely or who are withered. We have groups coming here. We have ladies coming in every Tuesday just to chat. We have a knitting club. One Sunday morning I was in the kitchen and looked out at the place. It was full of men. They were discussing the match. So it's not just a ladies' place to dine, it's for everybody. Kids come in here, they love it. We have a garden at the back. The youth club work with us, and we work very closely with the school as well. And the youth club is putting a herb garden in the summer for us, so we have our own herbs out the back. They are putting in a sensory garden this year. Last year we started a scheme with the school whereby they grew vegetables up in their little plot, and we brought them down and sold them for the school. And we went up to the school and showed them how to make soup from their own vegetables. So you can see here that that the community shop and tea rooms is not only a place where commodities are sold, but there's also it's also a social hub where kids, mother and toddler groups, school children, the elderly, and everybody else in between can come and engage in a wide range of activities. And it acts as a key it's a key actor in bringing the community together. And this organisation is very much centred in and around a very small village. I suppose the raison d'etre, the key mission of this community-owned enterprise, is to combat rural isolation and to provide a valuable social outlet to the local population. Other people have also spoke about the loneliness and the isolation which may exist in peripheral rural locations. If you've someone living on their own and they come down here for an hour, at least they've met somebody and met one or two more, even if there was no one here, and maybe let their let out their little troubles, and the troubles that they have might be very small when they go home. A trouble shared is a trouble halved. It mightn't be a bother at all. There's a lot of things. So basically, what this individual has telling us here that people who maybe live alone can come and speak to someone, and interact and engage with maybe the owner, with the manager or the personnel. It's important to note as well that when I was speaking with the manager of this organisation, it was also acknowledged that there's an element of seasonal trade, with much more, with the elderly more likely to come out in the summer when there's good weather than in the winter time when it's more wet and windy. It's important to note as well that the community shop and tea rooms offers maybe other services which you might not think, insofar as it for instance, campaigned for the bringing back of a post box in the village. Prior to this, when the post office closed, the post box went as well, and it was acknowledged that maybe the elderly used the post more so than the younger population. It is it is important to note as well that that the tea rooms is one way to bring back people into the parish, and we have a lovely village and parish. And the tea rooms has worked to bring people from the outside the parish in and show off and see the village. We have a castle, the river, and as locals, you get used to it if you don't notice it. But those that do come are impressed. People come to the parish that wouldn't have never been in Loughmore because of the cottage. And it has built up a very strong reputation. And they have gathered and maintained a very strong footfall, not only from within the village but from outside it. People come maybe to engage in maybe a walk around the village, or in some times of the year they do offer guided historical walks. And the community shop is a very interesting concept because they sell all maybe key commodities which locals might need, such as bread, milk, so that people don't have to travel maybe 15-20 kilometers in order to the big town to get maybe one or two items. So it's acts very much as a convenience store where people where locals can get their key commodities, key daily commodities without traveling maybe to the larger towns. They also try to source maybe their cakes and their produce as local as possible to the shop. And I think that's very important, that they're in turn sustaining local employment and also maybe acting in a very sustainable manner. In essence, reducing food miles. Because we have to remember, community enterprises and social enterprises have an economic, social, and an environmental dimension to them. It has to be acknowledged as well, maybe some challenges which a community shop faces is that they are not able maybe to sell the goods as cheaply as maybe major discounters such as Aldi or Lidl or Lidl. So that is so that maybe that impacts maybe the commercial operations of the community shop. I suppose when speaking to this organisation, they have acknowledged maybe that the community shop yes, it does provide a vital local service, but it is not maybe the major financial revenue generation for the business. That comes from the tea rooms and the restaurant. And and as stated there previously, they try and source as many products as local to the village as possible, or within the county of Tipperary. What they have done as well, they've organised maybe markets where local designers or producers of artisan products can sell maybe maybe sell their goods. And this is very important because it is maybe sustaining local jobs and providing maybe opportunities for others. They do provide and they do source their produce from the local catchment area, and that is especially true for the cakes which they sell in their community shop and tea rooms. And from speaking to the individuals in this organisation, it's very important to acknowledge that it is a commercial enterprise insofar as they have to generate sufficient funds to cover all of their costs, and if any and when profits are attained, then they can be reinvested into the organisation, or they can be provided to maybe local worthy causes. And it's important as well that it's very important for the community enterprise or social enterprise to be cognizant at all times that they have to be making sufficient revenues to cover all costs. And because if they're not able to generate sufficient revenue, they're not then able to maintain their social mission. And the key social mission of this organisation is to combat rural isolation and to provide an outlet, a space for locals to come together. And according to one participant, the commercial side has to work for the social side to be possible. It has to cover itself. They're not conflicting with each other because there's nothing compromised. And it's important to note that this model of where the community comes together, establishes its own community shop or tea rooms, has been replicated in other parts of County Tipperary and in other parts of Ireland. So about 20 other community-owned shops and tea rooms exist in Ireland, in places such as County Mayo, Kilkenny, Wexford, Wicklow, Cork. And the owners of this community shop and tea room have won many awards for the work which they have done, and they have gone and spoken to other communities who wish to establish a similar initiative. In addition to this lecture, I have provided you with a short video clip taken with Mary Fogarty, the owner of the community, the manager, I should say, of the community shop and tea rooms. And she explains about the services which they provide. And in addition to that, I've also provided you with a reading produced by Mary O'Shaughnessy and Patricia O'Hara, which talks about the importance of having rural social enterprises, and they have used the Loughmore community shop and tea rooms as an example within their study. And I suppose the last point which I want to make is that this is a cooperative. So, as I said, a lot of individuals in the community are shareholders, and each year they have the opportunity to attend an AGM, and at the AGM, strategic decisions can be made about the organisation for the year. Directors can be elected. They can also make resolutions on how the dividend is spent in the community, because no members, even though local members are shareholders, none of them will receive a dividend into their pockets. The dividend is spent in the community for the community, and it has to be acknowledged, this is probably a very good example of a community-owned enterprise situated in rural Ireland. And I suppose one of the key messages which I've gotten from this is that you do need to have a key leader within the organisation. And Mary has been very influential in managing this organisation over the past 10 years and has allowed it to grow and expand in the intervening time, whilst not losing sight of its overall mission, and that is to combat rural isolation. Thank you.